Hello everyone and welcome! Once again, my name is Logan and this is Decode Your Reality, and today I'm going to be breaking down and decoding the event 201, a globic pandemic exercise, which of course was the precursor to the COVID-19. So get comfortable, put a pair of headphones on, here we go. Here's the rundown of the topics for this presentation in the zero position, my intro, which you're getting now, and then the methods of the way I decode. Number one, we're going to get into plutonium. Number two, the number 74 and 47. Oh, those 74 and 47s. Number three, 10-4. Number four, the noun pandemic. Number 5, Magnet 67. Number 6, Death and Regeneration. And then number 7, of course, love to hear what you saw during this presentation. So what did you see when we finished this presentation? So here we go, folks, the methods to my decoding. And if you want to skip this, if you know my methods, just look down in the description and you'll find the timeline. You can go right to the presentation and forego this part. But if you're new to this, you're going to want to see this because, this is like putting a puzzle together. And we're using all these components. Now, first and foremost, and I'm not even including numerology here, but that's the other one we use. But first and foremost, for these methods, notice I started off with the heading of January 11th, 2020. That was the first recorded death in China linked to the coronavirus, January 11th, 2020. So then we bring our first layer into all of this, which is the cards of illumination. Typical poker deck. Now, these I've shown so many times over and over. They are embedded into nature, and they can tell us a story. There's 52 cards in a deck, matching the 52 weeks of the year. There are 4 suits, matching the 4 seasons. And of course, there's 13 cards per suit, the ace through the king, and that matches the 13 weeks for each season. So they're highly accurate, and they can give us a story. They attach to the tarot, which is what we're showing here. And so how we break this down, see, January 11th, the first recorded death linked to the coronavirus in China is the 111. January 11th can be written 111, and that's 1.21 gigawatts is a bolt of lightning. When you decode that through numerology is 111. That's tied to the 106 in the string of pi. That's a triple master number 1. And notice it's the 3 spades card attached to that date. And how I found that is I go right to the boilerplate chart. Here it is. Your birthday is going to be in here. And the months are at the top. And then the days run vertically. January 11th is the 3 spades card. So that's what they're telling us. The first death in China was on January 11th. Notice it's the 3 spades card. It's the 42nd card in the deck. And how I found that, if you want these graphics, just send me an email and I'll send them to you, decodeyourreality@gmail.com. Here is the natural lineage of the cards. Hearts is first, fire. Clubs is second, air. Diamonds is third, water. Spades is last, and it represents earth. Fire, air, water, earth. And when you go down to the 3 spades, it's the 42nd card. Of course, do you remember these all go 1 through 13, with the kings being last. So the 3 spades is linked to the January 11th date of the first death in China of the corona. Then when you link it to the next layer, the tarot. Now see, the tarot is an offshoot of the cards of illumination. Now history tells us that the cards of illumination, a typical poker deck, came first. These were invented first, and then the tarot is a cousin of these cards. And you'll notice, spades in the tarot is swords. And naturally, the 3 swords is a direct connect card to the 3 spades. The symbology on this card is absolutely crystal clear because it means death of the heart, and we're talking about the first death linked to the coronavirus. The day they chose, and I say they, but man's being used. We're being used, and this is an expression of that being used aspect. Because man could never orchestrate all the things that I've been showing. Not possible. Too complicated. Too many moving parts. And then you'll notice, the 2020 quarter has a bat on it. 2020 is when the coronavirus really hit the world. And that quarter is tied to the 42nd card in the medicine card deck. Because remember, the January 11th card is the 3 spades, which is the 42nd card. And the 42nd card in the medicine card deck is the bat. So, when you go to that, again, here's the 52 cards of the medicine cards. There it is, the bat card. Card number 42. So as you can see, these are all connected, along with the first recorded date of the coronavirus death in China. And the bat's upside down, linked to the hangman, Batman, Joker. It's all connected. So there are the methods, folks. And then, we use numerology as well and the elements of the periodic table. I'm going to keep showing you that kind of stuff. But nonetheless, when you get started on this 201, and then we go into the string of pi, and we measure that number. Because see, folks, the string of pi, the reason why it's so accurate is because there's only one way to measure numbers in it. And it's an infinite amount of numbers. It's the measurement of a circle. Everything's contained inside that circle. It's kind of like Earth. It's a circle. Whether you believe it's round or flat, it's still a circle, a sphere. Everything is contained within that sphere or circle, and it has infinite potential. And that's what pi measures. So when you start to plug these numbers in, you can tie them to numerology. And of course, my other favorite is the elements of the periodic table. And then when you notice where the 201 appears in the string of pi, it starts at the 244th decimal digit of pi. And folks, that is the element plutonium. Plutonium is linked to Lord Shiva and death and regeneration. It's linked to Pluto, death and regeneration. And we're gonna get into the plutonium, because here it is a little more. See, when you take the string of pi and you measure it 201 digits in, like when I did it this way, this is showing you where the 201 appears in the string of pi. But this one, it shows you 201 digits in straight up past the 3 point. And I'll show you those websites. This is Sabidium.com. This is where you can plug in any digit. So, 201 is right here. And it'll measure it at the 94th decimal digit. And then when you want to actually go digits past the 3 point and measure it, there is 201 decimal digits past the 3 point. Just plug in your numbers right there. So the 201, folks, going past the 3 point, look at the total outcome when you add all those numbers up. 904. There's the 94 again. So you can see clearly that not only is it very much a huge factor in our society, measuring it where it's found in the string of pi, but then when you take the 201 digits and add them up, it's a similar outcome. There's that 94 again. And 94 in numerology, when you separate the two numbers, 9 means endings and completions. That's tied to Pluto, number 9. And then 4 is the heart. It's Jupiter. The Anahata, the heart chakra, the heart of the world, where Earth may reside itself. Which is why this is such a huge deal. And this is the event 201. I mean, what is this all about? Pandemic, destruction, global destruction. Pluto. god of the underworld. Hades, which is tied in the Greek mythology. Now, going a step further, folks, where's the 94 fit into all this? Since the plutonium showed itself twice to us, tied to the event 201, 94 appears at the 58th and 59th decimal digit. Obviously, it occupies two spaces, which we're going to get into, but it starts at the 58th digit, and that's tied to the word puppet master, which I've decoded in my decode of Yaldabaoth, the Gnostic demiurge, the puppet master. And you'll notice that the element cerium, which is the god of agriculture, which is where it came from. Cerium's derived from Ceres, or Ceres, the god of agriculture. And you'll notice that one of its atomic weights is 141. And folks, what does pi start off with? 3.141. And that's tied to the element cobalt, because cobalt has an atomic weight of 58. The consonant and vowel here for the abbreviation is CO, and that's quite possibly chaos and order. Chaos and order. And when you look at the Royal Society of Chemistry with that element, folks, you'll notice that it's a picture of a goblin. And then on the side of that goblin, on both sides, is a dragon. A dragon. So symbolically, now it starts to paint a bigger picture of what's going on in our world. And if you fancy the septenary, folks, Jesus equals 27. So it's even more of a deeper story if you use all these multiple layers. So what happens when you take the 94 and then you add up the 58 and 59, because it occupies both of those spaces? What does that tell us? Well, it leads to the element tin, because tin has an atomic weight of 117, and we know tin is the merger of worlds. That's its alchemical symbol. And then when you bring in the 117 through the string of pi, look where it appears, at the 94th decimal digit. So clearly the 94 and the 117 and the 58 and 59 are all in bed together, closely related in this software that we call life, in this story that we call life. Directly connected, these numbers. So when we break it down even more, since now we're talking about tin, the merger of worlds, a lot of people associate it with Jupiter. But you'll notice the actual real name of tin is Stannum. That's why it has the abbreviation SN. And Stannum is a city that has tin. It has the tin mines. It's in Australia, I believe, or Wales, or one of those countries. And notice it's a number 28, and that's a direct match of the word Pluto and Lucifer. Straight up using Chaldean, not mixing any other ciphers, just one cipher, folks. And then when you take 50 and you add the 94, when you do alchemy with these two, you're going to get the number 144. And automatically bells should be going off in your head. Automatically bells should be going off in your head. So going back to this event 201, the actual day it took place on, Friday, October 18th, 2019. Again, this was just an exercise, but a precursor to the actual COVID itself. And the timestamp of this Event 201 exercise, and the first death, or first case I should say, reported in the US was 94 days. 94 days. And it was in Snohomish County. We're going to get into that at the very end. There's plutonium once again. You see, folks, see how this is all connected? Now, again, are they sitting down with a calendar and choosing these dates so they can have an outcome of these elements like that? No freaking way. Absolutely no way are they doing that. Man's being used to fulfill an agenda that was long written before each and every one of us got here. Whether or not you resonate with the COVID or whatever you think or feel about it, these are real things happening they're real and tangible. Plutonium's real. The dates on the calendar are real. And whether or not this is fabricated, it's still posted in the media and it's tied to this. And it can't be left out. October 18th is the 291st day of the year. 74 days remain until the end of the year. 74 is tied to those two characters right there and the element arsenic. Christ was crucified at the age of 33. Are these two characters one and the same? Are they? I mean, folks, if you go study Isaiah 45:7, which I included in my COVID decode, to me it's crystal clear what's running everything, what the puppet master's all about. Who's dealing all this stuff? Who's running man? Here are the dates. Event 201, the start of it, October 18th, and then the first case in the U.S. in Snohomish County, Washington, January 20th. Look at these. Look at the numerology output. 74. Wait again, right here. 74 days remaining till the end of the year on the exercise. You put the 2 days together of the exercise and first reported case, same outcome. 74. And 74 is tied to tungsten illumination, tied to a lot of things, 56 and 57. So now we get into the cards, folks. The cards. See, Event 201 was on October 18th. That's the 4 clubs card. And then the first reported case in the U.S. was January 20th. What is it you see right there when you take those two cards and you bring them together? One thing to point out is this is the 33rd card in the deck. This is the 17th card in the deck. So if you take 33 and 17, what do you got? And we're going to get into that. So there it is, the 4 clubs card, October 18th. And remember, in the tarot, it's the 4 of Wands, which is building foundations. So when you go to the tarot and you look at this card, here it is. This is the 4 Wands card, tied to the 4 clubs. Clubs means wands. And the symbology is this is like a happy home. Solid concrete foundation. It's the 25th card. What's interesting, the word adversary equals the number 25. I mean, obviously, this whole pandemic is an adversary. So the subtleties, but nevertheless, they shouldn't be left out. So, what is this telling us with the story? Well, they were building a foundation. And they were happy about it, of course, because it means control and more slavery. And I showed this during my COVID-19 timeline. If you haven't seen that video, please go check it out. Clear and convincing evidence this was all man being used. But you notice that, in 2019, when this whole craziness started, December 8th was the date that was posted of the first patient in Wuhan who developed the symptoms of the corona. And that was tied, the December 8th card is the 10 clubs card, the 23rd card in the deck. That's the crown card, folks. Crown equals 23, blood equals 23, history equals 23, all using the Chaldean, by the way, not mixing and matching different ciphers. And, the way straight up COVID-19 appears is 31. 10 clubs, 31. What is pi, folks? Pi is 3.1. Now, we know it as 3.14, but the most balanced aspect of pi is 3.1. One digit on the right of the decimal, one digit on the left. 3.1. That's pi. And it's tied to the first patient developing symptoms. How convenient. And here's a further look of that. See, folks, the 23rd card in the deck, the 10 clubs card, is linked to the word crown. Who do you think's running this whole event and this whole pandemic? They think they're the crown. They're being used by the crown. But then, you got to look at it from the observational point of just the single letters. The letter W is the 23rd letter in the alphabet. 23. Do you see? And then this is the triple crown letter because you could actually fit 3 crowns on each of the upswings of that letter, which is linked to carbon, 666. And then this element right here has the abbreviation W, tungsten. It's called wolfram. That's why it has the abbreviation W. That's tied to the number 74. And I've been showing that. Now we get into the word pandemic. I should have put plandemic. But pandemic is what they want to call this exercise. That's what they want to call the COVID. And it's pi itself, folks. 31. That's what pi is. 3.1. I know, I refer to it as 3.14 because that's what people are used to referring it as. But it's really, the most balanced is 3.1. Not 3.14. 3.1. Digit on the left, digit on the right of the decimal. This is pi itself. Meaning it's in harmony. That's what it would mean, the interpretation. And then the subtleties, the 8 letters, 1 word. 81. Reverse of that is 18. That's Jesus. Could Jesus be planning all this and using man to orchestrate to actually control the world at this reset time we're coming up on? It's not too far-fetched to believe that, folks. It's not. Especially if you're a Bible thumper, if you're a theology person, Isaiah 45:7 says it all. All of it. It's crystal clear. And, those that run the world, they use the Bible. They use it. So you use it. Maybe you don't. Where is the number 31? This is where I know it's important because you see, pandemic's 31. The 31 in the string of pi appears at the 137th decimal digit, 138 as well, which is tied to the 74 because of 74 being at 56 and 57, and that is tying it to lanthanum and barium. But that's for another story. But nonetheless, 137 is the 33rd prime number. 33 is a code. It's not the end-all code, but it's a code. So you can see how powerful this is when you observe it this way and why this code is written this way. Now, the event 201 had some partnerships going on. Here it is. I've underlined the 3 partnerships. The Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security. What a joke that is, their title. The World Economic Forum and the Gates Foundation. Bill and Bill, because I don't think Melinda's a woman. I think it's 2 Bills there. But anyway. When you do the numerology on those three that are in bed together that form this event 201, look at the outcome that you get. I mean, it's 82 letters. That's tied to lead and Saturn. And then 14's tied to silicon, which is where you get Silicon Valley from. But anyway, 331 is the output. And that's a prime number. It's the 67th prime number. And, that's tied to the 31st element because gallium has an atomic weight of 67. And what did we say 31 was? It's tied to pandemic. It's tied to the 33, the crucifixion number. Don't you find that absolutely fascinating? That the three organizations in partnership with the event 201 come out to 331, which is the 67th prime number, and it's tied to pi and gallium? Oh, but there's more. You see, because the 67th element is holmium. Holmium, the subtleties, like ho, like Santa, ho, ho, ho. That's what it means. Santa's ho, ho, ho. It's gallium, it's holmium, it's 67, 67, 67. That's all tied to Christmas, Christmas. But anyway, this is the most magnetic element on the entire periodic table. Now you think about that. What does that mean? The interpretation. It's the most magnetic. As in drawing energy. What do magnets do? They draw things into them, or they repel. But in this case, obviously, when you interpret this, the point of this and having the tie-ins to this is to be magnetic. Tying it to the infinite potential of pi. Gallium is linked to the heart chakra. That's how powerful the 31 is, and 13. I mean, there is the 31 in the total numerology, it's just, and the 33. If you want to observe it that way. So, when you break these numbers apart and you look at the number 67, well, that's also a prime number. And what prime number is it? 19. As in COVID-19. How about that? The people that, in my opinion, created it or are behind it, they're linked to the 67 and the 19th prime number? Now you know why they called it that. One of the reasons why they called it. 19 is linked to the word battery. 67 is a battery. And if we're talking about being the most magnetic, battery, magnetic, and pi infinite potential. You see how this all tells a story? And how there's so many moving parts. It would be absolutely impossible for man to be doing this consciously. Not freaking possible. Too many moving parts. Those of you that decode, like you decode sports and sports is written, yeah, but it ain't man that's doing it. Too many moving parts, too many score outcomes, and this guy has this number on his jersey, and he has this, and he has 17 championships. It's not freaking possible that man's doing it, folks. Man is being used. Used. The word U-S-E-D. Used. And it's crystal clear right here. You're seeing it. Using real math, real numbers, and real expressions that they told us what it is. And real organizations. And real dates. And they're all tied together. So my last slide, and I had this on my COVID. This one's really important. See, this is one of the cards of the COVID-19. It's the Ace Spades card. And the Ace Spades card is super powerful. It's the seed planter of the earth. That's what this card means. because the ace is the number one card and the spades suit represents Earth. So the ace, the number one card, it plants seeds. It's also related to death and regeneration because when you plant seeds, you overwrite the old things that were planted. Notice, ace spades is 33. But the other way to write out COVID-19 is to not reduce the 19 down and to add them up totally. COVID's 21, 19 is 19. 21 plus 19 is going to give you a number 40, which is then related to Kabbalah and the four worlds. And then, this is the first recorded case, or the first recorded case in Washington. Snohomish is the number 4. How convenient that the first case in the United States of Washington State in Snohomish County is the same as COVID-19 through numerology. Don't you find that absolutely fascinating? It's fascinating. It's real. Real numbers. And, then we get into the element zirconium. And its most abundant weight is 89. And you should automatically know Yaldabaoth, the Gnostic demiurge that most Gnostics believe runs the world. The Matrix runs it. So that means that all the other characters would fall subordinate to the Yaldabaoth character. And, on the Royal Society of Chemistry, this is the symbol that they're using, the scarab beetle, which is all about death and regeneration. What do you think COVID's all about, folks? COVID-19 is all about death and regeneration, transformation. That's what it's doing to the world. It's such a joke. And yet it is completely changing the world. That's what the Ace Spades card does. And remember the CDC and the World Health Organization, their founding dates is the Ace Spades card. How about, that's you might as well just shirk that off. That doesn't have any meaning. World Health Organization, CDC, both have the Ace Spades card as their birth or their founding dates. That doesn't have any meaning though. That doesn't mean anything. Oh, no big deal. Folks, this is serious stuff to show you that we're being used. So what is it that you saw during this presentation? What did you see? What did you see? I'd love to hear your comments. Love to hear what you got to say. I went over, quite a bit of material. Obviously, you can see the connections. And they're undeniable again. Keep showing this stuff over and over, and they're showing the same patterns. Meaning that it has some kind of source to it or power to it. Well, anyway, that's all I got for today. My name is Logan. This is Decode Your Reality. Thank you so very much for watching.